Hey there YouTube! Welcome back to my 2019 build of my new gaming rig desktop. In the previous video I showed all the parts that I am putting together. We started with the CPU, motherboard, and RAM. Last thing we were working on was adding the NvMe SSD to the motherboard. We're going to continue here today and carry on. I hope you enjoy. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll really encourage me to keep making videos. So we're going to size ours up for the length it's going to be. You can see it's going to go to the furthest one. I'm going to put one of these standoffs in it so that it doesn't bend backwards. Just like that. You can see there's already a standoff in that one. I'm going to grab our... Ooh. Where the heck did that come from? Grab our stuff. See how we've got, again, the notches? There's a notch here, and there's a notch right here. That just slides in just like this. There we go. So now, if you really wanted to, you could also post the computer to test it before you put in the NvMe drive. I just like to make sure that during the post we can also see that it detects the hard drive. Very nice, very nice. Twist that down to hand tight. There we go, hand tight. Bring this back over. I gotta check what's on the underside of that. It's rocking. Oh, we've got a thermal pad. That's cool. I think it's a thermal pad. Yeah, it's definitely thermal pad. Okay, so how much do we need? We need up to about here. So we're gonna cut off just past the This way I don't waste all of it, and I can come back to this if I need it in the future. Which I do want to do a water cooling system in this, so that would be kind of cool. I'll be sure to YouTube that as well when it happens. Oh, that's sticky. So we're gonna put it there. What did I do with that screw? Okay, there we go. So that's one screw in. Again, just hand tight. Grab the other one from over here. Two screw in. Just hand tight. Do a double check. All right, we are good. Okay, now that we've got both those going, I don't want this sticker on this case. I don't need to be reminded that I've got that, so I'm not going to worry too much about that piece. Again, keep our desk clean. Slowly get rid of steps so that the parts and boxes on the desk become less and less. Toss that to the side, and now we do our post. Okay, so while I was doing that quick montage, I realized I didn't have a CPU cooler. So I had to pull out my water cooler Now, it's not recommended to put on a water cooler and then test it and then take off the water cooler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on and I'm going to hope that I can mold the motherboard and the CPU and the water cooler together to put it into the case. That might not work, but you know, fingers crossed. Oh cool, look at this thing. Fans are pulled out, like there's no cover for the fan. So you're gonna have to be cautious about that. Now, the thermal grease for the CPU cooler is already on the CPU cooler. So we just need to be cautious that that doesn't get smudged too much when we put it onto the CPU. Another reason to do the test outside of the case is that if the CPU is broken, the CPU cooler is broken somehow, it won't damage the motherboard, hopefully that much. But now I need to disassemble this because unfortunately the CPU cooler has some additional parts that I got to put on the back of the motherboard, so I'm going to get on that. Okay, 1150, 1151, so we want these 4 large ones. Okay. Again, we're just going to thumb tight. Make sure the correct cooler retention ring. Cooler retention ring? I only have one cooler retention ring. Oh, there's a cooler retention ring on the CPU cooler. Got it. Okay, so which cooler retention ring? 1150. Okay, so this is the AMD cooler retention ring. I don't want that, so I do have the proper cooler retention ring on. Remove the ring from the pump. Secure the cooler retention ring. Okay. So here we go. Here's the attachment phase. Oop, that was not good. I'm gonna have it so my pump stays upwards like this. Let's double check that bottom side. Okay, thermal grease, good to go. Alright, that's what I want. So I'm going to hold it in place, grab my thumb screws. Now when doing thumb screws, when doing any screws on a CPU, you always want to go opposite corners. So this current screw was in the top right hand corner. The next current screw is going to go to the top left hand corner, and the next screw is going to go to the bottom right hand corner. So that way we're going across the CPU. It's kind of the exact same way you mount your lug nuts on your tires. Okay, and then we're going to come across to the bottom left. I mean, I could definitely go to the bottom or top right, but bottom left works fine for me. Screw them in so they're both thumb tight. This one too. Again, we went across. Okay, so I lost a little bit there. Alright, so just going to jump a little bit ahead in the video. I was mentioning how we were going to cross our, make sure our CPU standoffs are screwed in crosswise. And then I mentioned we were dealing with an AIO, and an AIO is an all-in-one, so my my cooler, my water cooling, and my fans are all in one, which is what AIO stands for. Now, plugging in my pump, I found that I needed to connect to the motherboard on the pump. I have an AIO pin, which is where this pump is going to be plugged into, which also comes to my fans, my cooler fans, to control the cooling. And then I have a USB cable that I have to plug in for my pump as well, which is going to come down to my USB 2.0 standoffs down here. And then when I actually put it into the into the case, I'm going to look for a USB pump up here instead. So now the next thing I did was I mounted back into the graphics card back onto the motherboard. I'm just going to put the the power pins back on the power supply. And you can see here I've got my 8-pin top right corner. CPU fans, make sure to spin freely. Sweet. Okay, now I've got my testing screen over here with, do I have an HDMI cable on here? I do have an HDMI cable. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to test it quickly with HDMI. You can do, whatever your card requires. Just make sure it's plugged in, which it definitely, most certainly is not. Oops, tar in the way. Okay. Monitor's plugged in. PC, or power supply, is also plugged in, but you're not going to notice anything happen because the power supply is in the off position. So there's no lights on the motherboard at all. However, your HDMI on our input on our screen, turn on the power supply, make sure the fans don't hit anything, which is good. Turn on the power supply, and we've got some lights. That's kind of cool. RGB on the side. Over here I have a power switch button, so I can click that button. Older technology, I would have had to short 2 pins down here. But today's technology seems to have a power button. So here we go, first test. Oh, I can hear liquid moving. I'm not sure you can. All fans are spinning, which is awesome. And we have something on screen. Woohoo! So our power on self-test has successfully worked. So we've got an error because it's saying new CPU installed. Please enter system setup to configure system. So CPU fan error. I might have to change something somewhere, but that's okay. For now, we have something on screen. That's all that matters. Our RAM, our CPU is running at 3.6 gigahertz. We've got an i7 9700K, which is exactly what we want. The Prime Z370-A2. Everything seems like it's registering, and we have display through the graphics card, so we know that the graphics card is good too. I am seeing 0 leaks from this all-in-one, and that's kind of the nice thing about an all-in-one as well, is that they've been tested in their building center, but it's always good to test, especially water-cooled CPUs, coolers, before putting them into the case, in my opinion, even if they're all-in-ones. Alright, so that's our power on self-test. I'm just going to hit my power switch button again to turn it off.